Welcome to the Soul Different podcast, where two generations of women come together to talk all things parenting, health, business, and overcoming life's challenges. I'm Devon. I'm here with my amazing daughter, Zeyanna Monet, and we're on a mission to break barriers, rebuild the family unit as the cornerstone of success, and elevate our culture by sharing our stories and strategies for thriving together. Whether you're a mother, daughter, or both, we're here to inspire and empower you to nurture your health, grow your business, and build a legacy that moves us all forward. Let's dive into the conversation.
I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Of pride.
Did I tell you about the talent show I tried out for and I sang that song?
No, you've never told me that.
Well, your dad was stalking me in the audience. It was at City Hall. I sang that for the audition for Boston Youth Theater.
Really?
And yeah, I was a final candidate. So they brought all the final candidates together and we had to sing right there in the plaza at City Hall when the stairs go up.
Oh.
And
no,
I had to sing that.
I don't think you. I remember that story because every time we've been in the City City Hall, you would talk about it. But you definitely did not share that you sang.
Yeah,
the late great Nippy.
I did.
Whitney Nippy Houston.
I did. Bobby.
And I have literally been falling in love with Whitney's song for the Waiting to Exhale for the movie. Is it called Exhale or Shoot? Baby.
Oh yeah.
Shoot.
Waiting to
baby.
Exhale.
That right?
Shoot badoo.
There you go.
Shoot badoo. Shoot.
Sometimes you laugh. Sometimes you cry.
Life never
tells us the winds are wise. But when you got friends to wish you well, you'll find a point when
you used to that song be playing all the time while you was a little girl in the back seat.
Shoot, bidoo, shoot.
She's channeling her inner Whitney right now.
You can say, oh,
shoot, badoo.
That's such a classic. But what's that last line she says? And she says, you should look inside yourself and you're halfway there.
Sometimes you laugh. It's just so Whitney. It's almost like she's just sitting there telling you. Like if Whitney was your aunt, she'd be sitting there telling you like, because if you've got friends to wish you well, you'll find a point when you will exhale. Yeah. Say.
I literally have been playing
that soundtrack is
over
like
and over
that
and
soundtrack
over.
was everything.
Like Whitney was motivating us.
Yeah, because right after that was who else had Brandy had something on that?
You said sitting. You said sitting in my room. I don't know if that's on. We would have to fact check that.
Yeah, I think a neat like a few. Yeah, that soundtrack was. Because I literally can hear the song that comes on after that. Because we played it so much.
Right, just the CD in the car.
The CD in the car. The Waiting to Exhale CD.
Yeah, that was good.
I showed your brother that scene from the closet scene.
When she
started screaming and she was like, when that one, it was a classic line with Angela Bassett, and she's ripping his clothes out the closet, and she's like, "You want to send my kids to a school because they don't need something." She says about an influence, and she's like, "You was a motherfucking bad influence," because he wanted. It was that he needed to see that.
And what was his reaction?
Oh my God!
Why is she messing up his clothes?
No, I would say because he knew the whole thing came from me explaining to him about ube, Abe, whatever, the coach from the Celtics when he cheated on Nia. So
What did you call him?
eBay. I just
Ime
say
Udoka.
Ime, right. I just say the asshole who cheated on Nia. And so your brother has taken a real liking to, we'll just be driving down the highway and sometimes he'll look over at me and say, and what do you think she did when he walked through the door after she found out he was cheating on him? So I showed him that scene because I said she probably did this. So watch this scene.
Oh my goodness.
You were the motherfucking bad influence.
You're not supposed to be cussing.
Sorry. Bad influence.
Mother effing.
You want to send my kids to a school? So classic.
That is
scene.
Waiting to Exhale as a whole is a
And
classic
she throws
movie.
all, and then we watched it all the way to the part where the firefighter came to the door and was like, "Ma'am, there was a fire in your yard," and she's smoking a cigarette. Like, yes, can I help you? Can I help you? And he's like, "Ma'am, you could have burned down the whole neighborhood." She's like, "It won't happen again." Whoop.
And closes the door.
Slammed the door in his face. It was classic. So if you search it on YouTube, you literally can watch that whole scene, like the burning of the clothes.
Have you ever done anything to that extent? Didn't you like pour ketchup all over my dad's car once? Or
I definitely did ketchup all over the car.
what color was his car at the time? Was it white?
It was like a whitish,
Oh my gosh.
tannish color. And smudged it all over. I don't know if I wrote something.
Oh my God.
I told your brother how I smashed his dad's $1,000 phone over the fire hydrant.
I didn't know.
And how
you've
my
ever done
hand
that.
was hurting for days. Because we talked about, he needs to know as a man the effects of cheating. So if you're able to, because you don't know the extent of don't think it's funny about what Nia did to Ime. Because that you could be the person who deals with that. You might have the black woman who will burn your clothes. You might have the woman who will put ketchup all over your white car. You might have, me and some friends had some black.
I just never saw the point in doing that.
Well, I think we were influenced by certain movies
like Waiting to
Exhale, where you had to do something. Like you have to do something.
I'll never forget. We have a family friend whom I love dearly. She told me one time that she would flatten her boyfriend's tires.
Yeah,
and then she would text him. She would not text. Excuse me. Page. She would page him 4 zeros. So whenever he received a page of 4 zeros, he knew
tires
that all 4 of his tires were
slashed.
Flattened.
I was on some of those
missions. Oh my God. Yo,
at about 4
y'all was wild in the 90s
about 4 in the morning,
early 2000s. Y'all was wild.
When she was ready, we'd say, "Okay, it's time to go," and we did it a few times. He came outside with no with no tires to leave, because I hope she wants you to stay there while you're waiting to get your car towed, because he would leave that person's house and then come to her house. So she knew that if this person understood, okay, he can't go nowhere. Once again, yeah, those were the good old days. We would dress in black hoodies.
Oh my gosh.
Just jump out the
where
car
were y'all kids? Because y'all had kids by then.
You probably were asleep.
That's crazy.
in the other bedroom.
That's crazy.
It was 4 in the morning. Where else would you be but sleep?
I mean,
sleep.
I guess that can kind of bring us back to a continuation of our last conversation about mothers, daughters, dreams. And when I wanted to dive into a little bit more about when you found out you were pregnant with me and like what you were feeling. And because I know that you had these dreams, of doing so many different things. And I know that my grandparents weren't too happy, but they still loved me regardless.
They did.
Shout out to Walter and Christine. My grandparents loved them dearly.
Yes.
So I did, kind of just want to bring it back to, those foundational moments of we were we were in the car. I think we were riding home from here, and it's the Tupac song where he says the line like, you know, being more conscious on the way we raise our daughters. So I just kind of wanted to dive a little bit into that line, because it, you know, it means so much. Like, just because you do have to be, I think you have to be conscious raising sons and daughters. But I feel like Tupac said that for a reason, because we know how he felt about women. You know, regardless, he always would big the women up as best he could. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about like what that means to you. I know when you found out you were pregnant, or when you found out I was a girl, and what things were going through your mind at that time.
I think that could be a lengthy answer, but what I remember is being one of many young women around the age of 19 and 20. If you remember how many graduations we had gone to from with all of my friends' kids, all of you all were graduating around the same time.
Yes.
So there was a group of us that were all coming home around the same time, sharing with each other that we were with child. And it was interesting. A lot of us were in the choir together, and it became a thing almost. We all were with child.
Right.
And to know that now, asking the question, it nothing ever dawned on me about like being nervous about, you know, what kind of mother I would be, what kind of daughter you would be, you know, how was I going to raise you. And when you asked the question, the first thing came to mind was the village.
Yeah.
Because I think I had you, but I handed you to the village. Because
She never lie.
Yeah, I handed you to the village, and it's, you know, is it culture? Was it their responsibility to know? I'd be curious how they would feel, because I don't even remember. I literally remember handing you to the queens. They literally wrapped their arms around you. You went from one arm to the next, from one arm to the next, and any celebration that we had, whether it was from, you know, the baby shower to, you know, my cousin coming over when I had no idea that I, you know, not to be graphic, but the mucus plug had come out and I was in the bathroom at home. I remember my mom Nana coming in the room that morning dressed in all white to go to church that day. She was a nurse.
Because I was born on a Sunday, right?
She was on her way to church, and she came in, checked on me. And so I just remember handing you to the village. And it was all I knew to do at that point, knowing that me and your dad we were together our entire high school, you know, from 9th all the way through the 12th grade, and all the experiences that we had together. And as you know, how your Nana Raquel, just based on, you know, rest in peace to the queen, she wanted you more than, you know. And even at 19, I'm looking like, you know, what is all the excitement? It was just, they literally were waiting for you to be born.
Yeah.
So the village, I didn't know to feel.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm literally in this situation and I'm being celebrated. So I don't remember being fearful. I don't remember any of those things. And, you know, I shared the story with you on how angry Grandpa was, but the day I brought you home was a snowstorm and the highways had been literally like cleared off. And we came home and our neighbor was saying he was getting concerned because Grandpa was sitting in the driveway. Excuse me, because I don't want to get emotional, so I should probably change subjects. But he had been sitting in the driveway for hours waiting for us to come home through the storm.
Yeah.
To, you know, to welcome you home.
Yeah. The protector.
After. Yeah, because I was in a really bad car accident. If you remember, I shared that story with you.
Yes. While you were pregnant with me,
while you were within the womb. And so
I was just meant to be here.
You were. You absolutely were. Really, really bad car. And Nana didn't know I was pregnant until that night.
Ooh.
That was how I told her. And the car was totaled, smashed, like literally. And I was knocked unconscious at some point, the first impact. And I was driving home from Boston to Lowell at the time, and was dropping your dad off. And I was in our cousin's car. I borrowed her car to drive him home. And when Nana got to the hospital, I remember the nurses coming in, just checking me, and I was just bawling my eyes out once I woke up. And I had to tell them all. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I don't forget what they were trying to do to me or something. And they might have said something about taking an x-ray or something. And I remember saying, like, I'm pregnant. And that's how I was able to share with Nana. And I remember them coming in with the machine to check
The ultrasound.
not the ultrasound, but to measure the heart, and to hear the heartbeat. And that was the first time I had heard your heart beating, was in the emergency room at Lawrence General Hospital.
Wow.
And so, you didn't know that story?
I mean, yeah,
details?
but I feel
Every
like
time we
as I get older, the stories resonate differently.
Yeah.
Where, more recently I've heard you talk about like having a, I forget the term you call it, but like a closed head injury.
Yeah.
Like you've kind of just recently been vocal about those experiences and kind of how they have affected you.
Right.
And, again, like I said, just as I get older and become a woman and you share these things, they definitely hit different, I guess I could say, because, I don't think, and I feel like every time we talk, you tell me something new. Whether it's about you and my dad's shenanigans or Nana, Grandpa, like whatever, even today learning you was on missions flattening tires, I would have never guessed that. Yeah, but hey, you had to live and learn as well. They were fun times. But yeah, shout out to the village, because I can definitely say I'm super grateful, as I shared already before. And as we continue this journey, we'll dive a little deeper, into what that means to us and how the village got us this far what they've done for me, because like I said, it's just so many layers, to it all. But I definitely wanted to talk a little bit more about that idea, like, okay, more conscious about the way we raise our daughters and the things, like how it started for you. Like, okay, I'm about to be a mom, and it could be a little girl, and what am I gonna do? But as you said, the ones that came before you did it, and
absolutely
vice versa. And
thank you, y'all. But they oh my God, did they? When I really think back, I would not have been able to do it without them. But I remember sharing with you how Nana came to me in a dream that day when I went home. And to know that what the dream was real and relevant, because when I woke up, I just remembered her saying to take care of you, take care of Zeyanna.
Yeah.
And I was out and drove home and walked into a kitchen where she was a cook, so the food was half done. The rice wasn't done. She would boil chicken and rice on the stove, and wow, I can still taste it. But was one of her signature dishes.
Yes,
and because it was simple,
her chicken and rice
with just a little bit of onion and butter. And she was laying on the couch, and I realized again that the food was not fully cooked. So that was probably one of the last moments that I had with her physically, with her communicating with me. Mom, go upstairs, get in the bed if your head's hurting. And it just kind of went downhill from there. And God called her home the next day.
I mean, I only had her for 8 years, but I can talk about her like I've had her my whole life. And that's just goes back to my personal philosophy, right? Because my grandmother made her presence felt in my life just in those 8 years. I was such a little girl.
She did.
So Shout out to Nana.
That
That was my girl.
She was something special.
Yeah, that was my girl.
And to not only us, but to
everybody.
The oldest, second oldest of 12. So she had a big responsibility, and managed to love everyone as if they were the only one. So we were.
I like
truly,
that.
Yeah.
Love everyone like they were the only one.
Yeah.
That's
and that's a gift.
Because everybody can't do that. Some people might fall apart trying to love everybody like they're the only person that, especially these days, where I just feel like the world is kind of shifting, and and being less of a servant. And honestly, in church recently, like the pastor's been preaching about, like, you have to know how to be a servant of others in order to, live an abundant life. Like, it's important. Like, you can have $1 million, but do you know how to serve?
Do you know how to serve?
Do you know how to be a servant? And
I remember that.
Yeah.
That message.
And I know that that's something I've learned about myself. I'm my best when I'm serving my community. And I know I get a lot of that from Nana, even though I didn't get to really see her do it. It's just in my blood. Like, I took such a long break from it, and now I'm like, I'm going back. I'm operating at my best. My life feels its best. I feel my best when I'm helping young girls and their families, like just being a positive influence and role model for them, going into their homes and just being a presence, because I just know what, again, back to the village, what that meant for me and what that did for me. And I just want to share that with everybody that I come in contact with. I do my best to do so. So that's a very big full circle moment as far as this conversation, what, has been happening in church, as well as, the direction that our lives are moving in.
Yeah. I believe I remembered, was it Oprah? I don't know if we can like quote people on video, but it's she spoke to that. Just it's that's when you've reached not a plateau, but you've reached a level of success when you're just able to use your life to serve others, and it's a good feeling, especially when you know, as we spoke about on the last episode, just what's in your DNA.
Right.
And when you can share that, knowing that, where it's like, no, this is just who I am.
Right.
I don't have to pretend. It's where I feel most fulfilled. It's
also being your authentic self as well.
Yeah.
We got to be who we are. Because like you said, if that's DNA, then you can't help it. You have to do your best to be who you are every day, So I think that
and taking the time to understand it. I think, I believe losing Nana at the time that we did, it doesn't, watching her serve was one thing, but realizing that it was gone, and in a way, when it was removed, you then feel, I'm glad you're getting the gift while I'm still here, because those would have been things that I would have loved to go back to her and say thank you for understanding that. I wonder if that's, remember I mentioned to you recently how there is a way you can actually get your genetic code tested to see. A lot of people are doing that now, with wondering where their measure of success is coming from.
Right.
Some people are genetically coded to perform in a certain field or in a certain way to be their best version of themselves.
Right.
So to know that we talk about it. Oh, it's DNA, or if it's a genetic code, but what if that's real?
Yeah, I think so.
What if that's
we should look into that.
Yeah. Or get tested. I can look up that.
Yeah, I would love to kind of see how that.
I believe he's a doctor who does this for
how that
for
lines
people.
up and how it aligns with the things we've been through, the things we're doing, and the things that we have not got done yet. Because there's a lot of things we want to do. Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
We didn't start with our affirmation, so we can we can end with our affirmation today.
Okay.
As well as our play of the week, and then give our flowers.
Okay.
So
Let's do it.
I think the hats on our heads kind of give a hint to the affirmation that we're going to share today. These hats are also something that I'm working on. It is, I wouldn't say so much a brand. I don't really want to get into that, as I feel like that comes with so much, but I'm just in a season of execution. And I've had these hats. I had this hat made like 2 years ago, and I wear it all the time. I get compliments about it all the time. So these hats will be available for purchase at some point. We're working on that. But so our affirmation today can be, I am worthy.
I am worthy.
So we can start with the I, the you, and the we.
I, you, we.
Ready?
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
Uno, dos, tres. I am worthy.
I am worthy.
You are worthy.
You are worthy.
And
we
are worthy. Yes. Amen. Amen.
We are worthy.
We are. We are worthy. And everybody listening is worthy as well.
Yes,
it starts there. So
starts there. Believing that.
Believing it. Yeah. And
Believing
okay.
that you are.
So what's your play of the week?
Ooh. As we talk about the plays, I think, did I speak last week about
your five goals?
The 5 goals. But
it's
I feel like coming off of this weekend with first travel AAU tournament.
Yes.
Shout out to Kansas City,
yes,
Missouri, who hosted us this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And to see all the young people, and for whatever reason, are making this choice in life to pursue the game,
Mm-hmm.
the love of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever happens after that chapter. So I spent some time, as you know, we drove back for 12 hours
Mm-hmm.
and had a wonderful conversation with a father, husband, coach, and realizing that the play of the week has to be to implement belief systems.
Okay.
Belief systems, and whether it simply means a hi, hello, how have you been, to just people.
Yeah.
Everyone, I believe, is believing in something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are not believing, someone else, almost like the giving yourself permission to shine,
Yeah.
so that someone else gets the permission. So giving yourself permission. So I just really want to implement those belief systems as plays this week in whatever area, we might be a little doubtful, a little question, a little concerned. And so
that's your play of the week.
That's the play of the
That's
week.
a good play of the week. I like the
Play of the
twist on it, because
Yeah.
it's not so much as like a tangible thing, It's not like, oh, I need to go to the grocery store, or I need to pay a bill. It's something that everybody can take on as well, because that's something we should all do, is instill those beliefs, especially in our young men. They need it,
Especially.
So yeah, my play of the week, I haven't even really thought about this, but let's see. Yours is kind of hard to follow. I feel like I have to be a little more. Okay. Let's see. My play of the week.
I feel like you're always in this mindset
What mindset?
of like lately you've been very strategic
Yes.
from the way you're speaking, the way you're moving. So I
Yeah.
feel like that would be hard to just find like a play
Right.
of the week.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
Are you rebounding? Are you on the defense?
Sheesh. I don't know. I could say
You're wrapping up your fast.
I am wrapping up my fast. That's a good one. I've been on a 40-day fast, Daniel fast for Lent.
Yes.
So
Super
it has
proud of
been
you
a
for that.
journey, but I have been so disciplined.
She has.
Straight water, fruits, veggies,
Nuts.
brown rice, no brownies, no cookies, no Arnold Palmers. So that
No wine.
no wine, no mimosas. Yes, yes. If you know me, you know I love a good mimosa. But yeah, so that's a good one. Thank you for that, Ma. So yeah, wrapping up my fast. Resurrection Sunday will be the last day. But I can also say I want this to be more of a lifestyle for me, because I don't want it to just be, okay, I'm just doing this for this time period. I do want to be more conscious of the things that I'm eating,
Yes.
the things I'm putting in my body, the things that I'm consuming.
Yeah.
Right. My theme lately has been, I want to be less of a consumer and more of a producer.
Yes.
So, I want to consume less of everything, food, social media, nonsense, and start to produce things like, what we're doing here, and executing the ideas that I have in this brain of mine.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Alley hoop, I should say.
Assist.
Yes. Slam dunk. Okay. So we got our plays of the week, and wrapping up with giving our flowers. So let's just kind of take a moment. I can start because I gave my flowers to you last week.
You did.
This week, I'm going to give my flowers to my dad.
Daddy.
I'm going to give my flowers
Poppy.
to the OG big Z. I'm Z Junior. If you know, you know. But yeah, my dad, we've had our ups and downs, but to be the age that I am now, to be able to still call you daddy. Yeah. If you need something, if something's going crazy. And he's always been consistent in that way, that no matter what we're going through, I can call that man and say, Daddy, I need XYZ. I need this. I need that. And we just lost my grandmother some time ago, a few months ago, October. So as a family, we're coming out of that, and I know how much she meant to him, and vice versa. So as a family, we're getting through that, and I just want to big him up, because he's doing really well with this transition of no longer having her here with us. So shout out to Big Z. I love you, Daddy. I hope that makes you feel good.
I'm almost sure that would bring him extreme measures of joy.
Yes.
And so flowers, these are always thought-provoking. I should probably think more into having answers for that segment. I'm going to give my flowers to, can we do it to a team?
Yeah, absolutely.
There has been a group of women that have been there with me for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I just respect the fact that they are still here. And when I call, when it's something new, if I'm excited, they're just as excited. They know that they can trust that if I call, if I'm excited about something, they just trust it. Mm-hmm. And they're literally entrusting their lives. And I speak to them every single day, and it's been so empowering. And these are mothers, these are wives, these are, if I could name them, I would, but they, I don't know, we'd have to, make sure that they're okay with that. But absolutely. you know who they are.
I do.
And that part has been so special. As you know, we're embarking on something new together with this project. And it's just been, as much as we'd like to say, your friends and your family are usually the last ones to support you, I can say that it's been a pleasure and extreme joy to have them. And it's not even supporting me. I see them supporting themselves. Right. I see them build, as we spoke about, legacies for the future, working towards those things. It's more about them understanding that it's for them.
Yes.
And I would just love to give them their flowers and let them know how much I appreciate them. They've been a village, for you in so many ways, as you bring up their names sometimes and say, I remember she would pick me up from school.
Yes.
And, when I couldn't get home after Nana passed and we moved, a little further away from the city. And they're still here with me as we call it just rocking. We just rocking together, rocking with me, and their flowers have to be noted. Has to be noted.
Okay.
Love y'all.
That's a good one.
You know who you are.
That's a really good one.
Love y'all.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that does it for today.
Just for today.
Just for today. We'll be back with the Soul Different podcast, where we don't just soul different. We are so different.
Appreciate that. Love you, girl.
We got to do our team.
Team. Bring it in.
What are we going to say today? I am worthy on 3. 1, 2, 3. I am worthy. Thank you for tuning into the Soul Different podcast, where we soul different and we are so different. We hope today's conversation sparked new ideas, inspiration, and a renewed commitment to building strong families and legacies. Remember, no obstacle is too big when we stand together. Let's keep pushing forward, cultivating our health, building our businesses, and most importantly, strengthening the foundation of family. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue to break barriers and elevate our culture. Until then, remember, you are worthy, stay strong, stay connected, and keep building for the future.